Hey guys, so for day 6 of Halloween nails, I am going to recreate my Coraline set that I did 3 years ago. And I'm not going to recreate both hands because I did originally do this on myself and I did both hands, but that was going to take too long and I really didn't want to do all that. So I'm only doing one hand, and I did kind of change it up a little bit compared to the original. But anyhow, I'm just going in and painting all of the bases. For the pinky nail, I used the white, and I did 2 coats of that, and I cured each coat for 60 seconds. For the ring nail, I did that blue color. I think it was Boss Battle from Nails by Dev. And then the middle nail, I only did 1 coat of that, cured it for 60 seconds. The middle nail was Face Your Fears from Nails by Dev. I did 2 coats of that, cured each coat for 60 seconds. The thumb here is getting painted with the black from Ball Pit. I only did 1 coat of that and cured that for 60 seconds. And the pointer nail is getting painted with Wet Bandit from Madam Glam. I do have a discount code with Madam Glam. I'll try to remember to put it up on the screen. If not, it is down in the description below for anyone who is interested in purchasing anything from Madam Glam. You can save a little bit of money. I painted 2 coats of that, and I did magnetize both coats of it. And I cured each coat for 60 seconds. And then for the pinky nail, just like I did in the original, I applied this chrome powder onto it. I don't know why I did that in the original nail. I can't remember my reasoning behind applying some chrome powder onto the white nail, but I did it again this time, and I'm pretty sure this is the exact same chrome powder that I used in the original as well. I have no idea where I got it from. Probably Amazon. So I applied the Varnail 2-in-1 top coat, cured it for 30 seconds, rubbed that chrome powder in, and then sealed it in with that Varnail 2-in-1 top coat and cured for 60 seconds. Now for the thumbnail, I'm just taking these chameleon flakes that I have. These are the exact same ones that I used on the original as well. It's from the brand Let's Resin, and it's the blue chameleon flakes. They have like this shift to like a purpley pinky color, and sometimes, depending on how you look at them, also kind of looks a little orange. And I just took one of those like sponge applicators and pressed them into the nail. And then I did top coat them with this anti-matte chrome top coat, just because I had it out. It doesn't really matter what kind of matte top coat you do use, or you could also top coat it with a shiny top coat, but I did it with a matte because I knew I was going to go over it and like paint a design on top, and painting over a shiny top coat, it kind of gets a little slippery. So I top coated that with a matte top coat, and then I also top coated the cat eye nail with the Ball Pit anti-chrome matte top coat, because I am going to apply chrome, like do chrome isolation on this nail. So I'm just taking the black from Ball Pit and drawing on the little stars. This nail is to represent the sweater that the other mother gave her when she was in the other world and watching the mice and the what are they, the ladies do their performance and whatever. And like whenever she was searching for the eyes, she had this blue sweater on with the stars. So I'm just going in, drawing these stars on with the black from, or not the black, the Emo Black liner gel from Ball Pit. This is a no wipe liner gel and it works great for chrome. This is pretty much what I use every time I do a isolated chrome design, because it works so well. So with this, you do only want to cure it for 15 seconds and then apply your chrome, and then you do have to put it back in the lamp and cure for the full 60 seconds because you are only partially curing it, and we don't want partially cured gel on our nails because that is how you get acrylate allergies. So now I'm just going on to the ring nail, which is going to be the portal nail. And then I'm just taking that blue again, putting a layer of that down. And then without curing that, I'm just going in with a purple gel polish, a pink, and a teal. And I'm also gonna go in with a little bit of the blue just to help like blend stuff together, or blend these colors together. I do also pull out another purple, like a brighter purple, because when I ended up blending these colors, the purple that I had originally chose kind of blended in a little bit too much and was a little too light, so I just needed a little brighter of a purple in there to really make the purple pop. And so I'm just taking my liner brush, dipping it into whatever color, and just kind of very quickly swiping them on in like a circular pattern. I remember when I originally did this set, it took me so long to figure out how to do like this effect on the nail, and I can't fully remember how I did it. I do have a tutorial or a video of me doing the original set and showing how I did both hands. That video is kind of long, but there is a lot of details and a lot that went into this set originally. Also, a lot went into just this set right here with just doing 5 nails, but imagine doing 10. It took even longer. Anyhow, so yeah, I just remembered I struggled a lot originally with this portal nail and I couldn't figure it out. I tried multiple times to try and get it, and I finally got it. I don't remember how I got it, but I think I might have used blooming gel that time. I don't know. But this way works really well, and I feel like this looks a lot more realistic to the tunnel that is in the movie compared to how I originally did it. So after I got all the colors on, I did just go through and kind of like swipe it around and blend them out a little bit and diffuse the colors a little bit to make them actually look like they're swirling together. And then once I got that how I liked it, I went ahead and cured for 60 seconds, and I did, before putting it in the lamp, wipe the sides off with a lint-free wipe just to remove any of the excess gel that might have pooled on the sides of the nails. And then I went in with the black and just very lightly did some little black like circle lines. They weren't full circles, they were kind of like partial circles throughout the nail, and they were very thin. I used very light pressure for this and used very little black polish for this because I didn't want it to be like super thick and noticeable, because that's not how it is in the movie. You could, if you wanted to, add the black in the stage where everything is wet and like blend it in that way, but I felt like it was going to blend too much, and this was an easier way for me to control how much black was going to be on the nail. So after I got this on, I did go ahead and cure for a full 60 seconds. And I did do the black differently than I did originally. I just did like a swirl on the entire nail. But for this one, I did kind of like broken up curved circle lines. Now going back to the thumbnail, I'm taking Spiked Lemonade from Ball Pit, and I'm just doing the Coraline logo. I started out with the two middle letters, so the A and the L, just to make sure I got my spacing right for the letters and could fit her entire name on the nail. That is like the easiest way to make sure you are able to fit all the letters that you need. You start with the middle and like go on either side of it. Although usually I don't have a hard time when it comes to lettering and making sure the spacing is right. I can usually just start with the first letter and like go through and write the entire word out, but just to make sure that everything fit right and I was getting the spacing right and the sizing right on the letters, I did do it this way. And like I said, it's the easiest way to make sure you get everything right. Because the base is pretty dark compared to this yellow I am using, I did have to lay it on a little thick because yellow tends to be a little sheer-ish, not like super sheer, but it's not like super fully opaque. So typically with yellow you do tend to have to do, you either have to lay it on a little thicker or you have to do multiple coats, and I didn't want to have to do multiple coats of it, so I did just lay it on a little bit thicker. And then once I got it all written on, I did cure for a full 60 seconds. And that's another thing with writing words on a nail and doing like lettering and stuff. You can flash cure if you feel like you need to, but also if it ends up not fitting on the nail all the way or the spacing is off or anything, that's going to be really difficult to fix. You're going to have to like buff it off, and then you run the risk of messing up your base. So when doing any kind of lettering, it's honestly best to not cure it until you're completely done with it, so you can make sure that it is on correctly. And if you do have any kind of mess ups or run out of space, you can easily just wipe it off and start over with it and not have to worry about like trying to buff the letters off and like trying to fix it that way. That's just a lot more work. And then for the, what the heck, Finn? What are you doing? For the O here, because it is the button, I remember on the original I had a hard time getting the like little buttonholes on there, and I ended up just painting on a circle and like filling it in and then going in and dotting on some black dots and then applying the chameleon powder on top of that again, and it kind of made it a little lumpy and bumpy and like it didn't really look that good. So this time around I tried something out. I drew on the circle and just did like a plus sign in it to kind of break it up into 4 sections, so 1 section for each buttonhole, and then drew the little circle inside of there, and that made it so much easier to do this like button circle thing here. So if you're ever having to paint on buttons, I would say try doing it like that. Draw your circle and then do a plus sign, and then, just draw your little smaller circles inside of each of those little sections, and it should work out pretty well. This video is going by so fast. I did have to speed it up quite a bit because it took a long time to do. This was a long process. There's a lot going on with it. It took a long time for the original too. Even longer because, like I said, I did do both hands for that one. So there was a lot of footage. I had to go through and edit a lot, and even then this video was like an hour and a half long, so I had to speed it up to get it down to a somewhat reasonable time length for a video. So yeah, it's just going really fast and I can barely even keep up. On the pinky nail, originally on this side that I'm doing, it was originally the cat, but by the time I got to this point, I was like, I've already spent, I want to say like an hour or so doing this set, and I still had to do Coraline herself, and I knew she was going to take a long time. She took a long time the first time I did it, and I knew she was probably going to take even longer this time because I wanted to do more detailing on her and try and make her look more how she looked in the movie, because in the original nail set that I did, she looked a little more like cartoonish and not like that claymation doll that she is. She was very like 2D and flat, and I wanted to try to make her look a little more real to how she actually looks in the movie. That was the whole point of this set, was to see like how far I've come with like my skill sets that I have for, nail art, and like see how much better I am at like doing somewhat realistic characters, because like she's not a real human, but like she looks more lifelike in the movie and less cartoon-like, if that makes sense. So like I said, she took a long time to do the first time around, and I knew she was going to take a long time this time. Usually I like to start out with the more difficult part of the nail set, or the part that I feel like is going to be the most difficult or take the longest to do. So typically I would start out with Coraline and then work my way through until I get to the easiest nail and finish on the quickest and easiest nail. But this time I don't know, I was a little intimidated when it came to doing Coraline, because like I said, I knew I wanted to try and make her look more realistic, more lifelike, how she looks in the movie. And that was kind of intimidating me a little bit, because that requires like a lot of shading and paying a lot of attention to all the tiny little details, and like really focusing on those tiny little details. And I am not good at doing realistic people anyways. Cartoons, I can do a cartoon all day every day, but when it comes to like real life, like realistic portraits and stuff like that, I am not good at that at all. And like I said, Coraline, she's not a real human, but she is more lifelike than a 2D character. So it was a little intimidating to know that I was going to attempt this And I am really happy with how she ended up coming out. I feel like she came out way better than the first time I did it. Although I still am really happy with how the first one came out, especially since like that was my first ever character set that I did on my channel here, and I never really did very much character art anyhow whenever I would do nail art, even before starting YouTube, just because characters are hard. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, like doing character art is hard, whether you're doing a 2D cartoon character or you're doing, 3D realistic portrait of like an actual human character. It's all pretty difficult, pretty intense. Takes a lot of work and practice to do. And then you see people like Maddox and Dev and all the Instagram girls doing all these super realistic portraits, and like even with their cartoon characters, they look exactly like the cartoons, and there's so much detail. I'm like, I am so impressed with anyone that can do stuff like that, and it amazes me that like people are actually able to do that on such a tiny scale. And I mean, I know this nail isn't the smallest nail to do that on, but you want to see some really tiny characters, and like you gotta go check out Vivian, I think is her name. She's on Instagram and TikTok. She'll do super detailed like anime and Disney characters. She's also done like realistic portraits and stuff as well on teeny tiny little, extra short almond nails, and I'm like, how? That is so insane. And I'm absolutely amazed. I'm like, maybe someday I can get to that level, but I don't know, because Coraline here was taking me out. Oh my gosh. I think it took me like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours to get her done. And like I said, the rest of the set already had taken me like an hour to do. So this whole set took me like, I don't know, 3.5, 4 hours to do. But also I did like a whole bunch of other stuff. If I was just doing her, which I feel like I probably should have done for this video, was just paint her alone, then I wouldn't have spent as much time. But also I wanted to do the entire set to see like how my skills have improved across the board, and not just, when it comes to character art. But yeah, I don't really have much to say. I don't really know how to explain what I'm doing. I don't think I showed really the colors that I was using anymore. I will have them linked down in the description below if like you're curious about colors that I used within the set. I do think I did a little bit of color mixing maybe here and there just to make sure I got like the right colors, but yeah, I don't know, it was just a lot of going back and forth with colors and like blending and just really trying to pay attention and focus on the little details and everything, and all the little shadows and highlights and stuff, which even still I don't feel like I got it down 100%, but I definitely did all right, I think. I will say the nose, her nose was so hard for me to do. I redid it a whole bunch of times, and not all of that is in this video because I did it so many times and it still doesn't look quite right. So there is still some stuff that I need to work on when it comes to nail art like this and doing characters like this to, get on that level of like Vivian and Maddox and not Ball Pit. Maddox is Ball Pit. Dev and all of them, because I would like to be on that level, but like realistically, I don't know if I will ever be on that level. I mean, if I worked hard enough, but like, also I'm like, do I really want to? Because like, I don't know, character art isn't really like my main focus for nail art. I do like doing it here and there, and I do want to like get better at it. That's why this year I was doing character art every month. Last month I didn't have a character art design, but I do make up for that here in October because there's a couple more character nails that I'm doing this month. But yeah, I do want to practice and get better at it, but also it's not like my main priority when it comes to nail art. I like to do other types of nail art. Abstract type of nail art is really my main thing. So that's kind of what I mainly focus on, doing like abstract stuff. Maximum, I always mess up saying that word, but like maximalist type of nail art where you just have a bunch of stuff going on the nails, because that's like my thing. I also want to try and do more, like I mentioned this before, I want to try and do more like avant-garde type of nail art, or like what you would see at like nail art competitions and stuff, where it's like the one nail that's like ridiculously long and then it has like all this sculpted 3D stuff and it's like insane, and there's like moving parts and like, I don't know, just like those really insane type of nails, but those take so long, and I was already like struggling with how long this set was taking, so I don't know. But anyhow, I'm just rambling at this point. I'm just gonna go ahead and let this play out for a bit. Basically just at this point, coloring her in, trying to get her look as closely to how she looks in the movie as possible with, the skills that I have. So I'll be back in a bit to let you know what's going on. Okay, so now I'm going in with my shiny top coat from LGN and top coating all of the nails with this. And when I top coat Coraline and the cat eye nail and that chameleon flake nail, I love how they look once they're top coated. Like, I love all nail art. Like, when it's top coated, the top coat reveal is my favorite part. But when you do something like this, like Coraline, everything on her just like blended and became seamless. And then on those other two nails, because I had put the matte top coat on and they were looking super dull, just seeing that shine come back through and all the sparkle is so satisfying to watch. But anyhow, after I got that all applied, I did go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. And this is the finished result. I am super happy with how this set came out, and I definitely see a whole lot of improvement compared to the original. I'm super happy with it. Even the lettering itself like ended up being better than the original, in my opinion. Everything just looks a whole lot better, a whole lot cleaner, more refined, and that makes me so happy to see. I love recreating old sets that I have done to see like where I'm at now compared to where I was at however long ago that I did the original set. Also, I forgot to do her lips, so she does look a little weird because her lips aren't on. And that I didn't even realize that until I was filming my finishing shots, like when I put these on my hand and like took my pictures and videos outside and whatever. That was when I realized that I didn't do her lips, and I was like, oh well, she's just not gonna have lips then, because I wasn't gonna like try and buff off the top coat a little bit to put those on. So that was kind of a downfall there, and I feel like if she had her lips, she would look a little more real, like, maybe, or at least a little more like herself. She does kind of, like I said, she looks a little off without her lips, but I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. She still looks like who she's supposed to look like. But I'm super happy with this set. Also, with the original one, Coraline was just on a plain purple background, and for this one I put her on a sparkly purple background just because I felt like it kind of flowed better with the rest of the sparkle and shine that was going on in this set. And I really like that change. It really makes her like stand out because she is just solid color and then the background is just like sparkle, and just like I said, really makes her stand out a lot more compared to being a flat background with a flat character. I mean, she's not flat because she has all the shading and everything, but you get what I mean. At least I hope you get what I mean. I do wish I would have done the cat to see like my improvements there, because he's also a difficult character to do because he's just all black and you really have to focus and pay attention to like highlights and everything to really like make it look like a cat instead of him just looking like a big black blob. I also really want to do the other half of this set where I have the other mother, but that was gonna have to be for another time because I didn't do that for any of these Halloween sets. But I do kind of want to do that to see like how much I have improved on her, because she was a huge struggle. But also I was also doing her with my left hand, and I had to paint her upside down. I mean, I mainly paint a lot of stuff upside down when I'm doing stuff on myself. But yeah, I feel like the other mother didn't really get a fair chance the last time, and she was kind of funky looking. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.